Welcome to my channel. I'm Nick. Today's video, I want to give you a tour of my workshop. But before Tex and I just go and do that, just give you the free tour of our shop, let's travel back a couple years when I first did a video of me filming the space, the workshop, before I did any of these modifications and upgrades and remodeling and renovations too. Check it out. So this is pretty cool. We moved from Texas back to Florida, sold our house, bought her grandfather's house, my wife's grandfather's house here in Summerfield, where we both grew up in this area. And now we're back on some land. We got 2 acres. And along with the house, which we're gonna be doing a complete remodel on, I have this pretty decent sized carport slash barn slash shop area that I'm gonna give you a better tour of here in a minute, that we just got cleaned out. So here behind me is where we're gonna end up pouring some more concrete down here. Actually, we're gonna try to go the entire distance of the barn. That way, our ultimate goal eventually back here is to be able to store a tractor, kind of have a nice area out here to be able to work and, do some fabrication, woodworking, metalwork, all that good stuff out here. So the metal, the welding table, all my welding equipment. This is kind of cool because this isn't your standard 2-car garage, right? This is like a barn in the middle of a couple acres. So it presents some really cool, fun, challenging ways to convert this space, incorporate some of the tools that I still have right now, but also what else can I do to make this place optimal, right? One neat thing about this is we actually have this carport attached. Get my gate open here. We actually have this carport attached to the front here. All this area, this is not our stuff. This is her grandfather's truck and golf cart, but a good chunk of this stuff is ours. So you got this nice wide, this is like 25 feet across. 2 full-size vehicles can fit in here quite easily. So we'll have our sauna, our cold plunge, all of our workout equipment. So this will be our outdoor gym area, which is nice, and we're looking forward to that. Put a couple ceiling fans up there. And then what we're gonna end up doing when we do our remodel is we're gonna add a carport to the side of the house up there. So we're not parking all the way back here and then walking up to the house. But that's a later video. We'll get to the house remodel part. I'll step back in where it's not so bad on the video. Let's step down here of what the plans are with this place. Initially, we're gonna have to replace the tin roof on this side of it because it's all rusted out, holes everywhere. We don't want that. Redo the flooring here. We're gonna get rid of all this. This used to be like a garden tool area, storage area that we just want all this open. So, and then we'll end up probably putting a big barn door to close over that. That goes in our backyard there. And that's our, basically our uncle, her grandfather that we bought the house from is gonna be living in this barndominium behind us, and then behind them is where her uncle and aunt live. So we got family all around us. So that's nice. Property line is actually close to the barn. It's not right up on the barn, but he's given us a few feet easement so we can kind of move in and out of the barn area right behind it. So that's really nice. Didn't give it to us, we just can use it. So I'm not quite sure. I'll probably end up walling this up the rest of the way. And then again, a barn door right here. So if I want to close off this area to the elements, I can. But priority 1 is replace this roof above me, replace any rafters or joists that need to get fixed that are either rotten or too old. Okay, that's it. That's this part 1. I just wanted to give you a short overview of what it's going to look like. I'm making that same walk that I did as that video was ending. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this time to show you how this workshop has transformed in the last couple of years. Let's do it. And I turned this space that we're currently in to the office. And back here behind me, I've got my little command center, my computer set up, some books, got the N64, not the N64, that's my age talking. I just said N64. Got my Nintendo Switch that bug out and play some games on sometimes. Got my doggy door with a picture of my dog there, Tex, King Texaroni. And that's Tex's couch. This is Tex, by the way. Tex, say hi. Tex doesn't want to say hi. Back here behind me, couch, all my hunting sort of outfits, clothes, some winter clothing. Got my safe, all my equipment for up there for camping and hunting. And so this is my man cave. There's my Appalachian Trail map there. I through hiked the entire Appalachian Trail in 2014. My trail name was Chance. So this is the office. We're gonna head out the door. We're gonna squeeze our way out the doggy door here. Here we go. Tex, show us how to do it. Perfect. Perfect execution, sir. We're going to use the big door, though. And stepping out here into the warm space. By the way, this is an air-conditioned space. So just to give you a little better view there. These are out of LVLs, the laminate veneer lumber there. These are 24 inches wide. They make it's great material to build workspaces off of. And legs for workspaces. And I came across those on a deal on the marketplace for, I think I paid $600 and got a whole bunch of these. And they just make great work surfaces. And we'll go over there in the workshop with that, how I've put them to use. So as we step out here, Tex, we got to go out of the AC, buddy. I guess you can stay in here. All right. So this is kind of I don't even know what to really call this room. That's my room into the office. Here's my chainsaw storage. I got this idea off of Pinterest, actually. Well, some of the idea off of Pinterest, and I just maybe added my own little personal touch with it with the metal work here. Those are just bicycle hooks. And this is just a 2x10, I think. 2x8 maybe, whatever. And I used to fell trees way back in the day. I just held on to all my equipment and keep my chainsaws. They work great here on the property because we have a bunch of water oaks still on this property that like to fall during hurricanes and storms and such. Here's the LVLs back in action right here. And this is just kind of a catch-all space where I put towels and garbage bags. And here I've got some Husky cabinets that just some oil, different types of fluids. Then in this one, I think I got a bunch of cans, spray paint cans, and caulking, and oh, we're being attacked. And the fridge that's still missing a few stickers, right? And there's a bug flying around because bugs like to fly around here. And I think this is just a catch-all cabinet that we have up there. These double doors right here that lead into this space. This part of the room isn't actually AC'd, but that's leading out to our house, our carport over there. But this right here used to be a part of the house. This double door used to be where those double doors were, but this was a back porch off the house. That back porch got closed in. These double doors came off the house. We put different doors on the house, and they happen to fit just perfectly here where there used to be just some wooden doors. And in here, I also did the epoxy finished floor in this area, in the area in the office. And as you can see, when you hang chainsaws vertically like that, even though I dumped the oil out of them, they still tend to get whatever the residual oil that's on the bar, they just goes to the ground. But the nice thing about the epoxy floors are they clean up nicely. That's how you get into the area that I just showed you. This over here is actually the front part where we used to park our vehicles. We'll actually still park my work truck in here. And this is sort of a little gym area. We keep our grills under here. And then I have my cold plunge. And we're gonna end up outfitting this space a little bit better as a gym now that we have moved our main cars, over to this nice big pole barn / carport that we built against the house. All right, moving on in. So this is just kind of the not really fun entrance into the actual shop. This right here, I'm gonna take this area and build a closet just for a catch-all, store things that I don't really have other purposes for. Just, it's kind of a dead corner right now, but I'm gonna put some use to it. Moving on into the shop. Stop and give you a quick 360 here. All right. So over here is the workbench. The one that I designed. I actually had a video on this, and I'll link this video into this video of how I made this workbench. but this is that LVL material. I actually went and sanded this down and polyurethaned it a few months ago. But this is 2-inch angle that rests on 2-inch square tubing. It's all welded together underneath and anchored down to the floor at each one of the posts or columns. This entire wall right here is going to get completely redone. It just, as I was redoing the shop, this spot just sort of became a catch-all. I'd eventually like to take all this right here, move it down here, take my outlets that I use for my welders, my 20 amp dedicated circuit for my plasma cutter, or excuse me, my 30 amp. This is my 30 amp dedicated circuit. This is my 20 amp dedicated circuit, or I think that's a 50 amp dedicated circuit. It's a 50 amp dedicated circuit and a 20 amp dedicated circuit, and just shift those out here to where they're easier to get to. Move this stuff down here, and then put doors on the fronts of this workbench all the way down. And then take and put some tool cabinets, one on the end, one in the middle, or maybe one here, or one there, one down there, and put these metal shelves in the center. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna work that out yet, but you can see what I did up here. This is metal C-channel running down the entire length of this shelf up here. And I did the same thing. I used a 24-inch wide. This is 1.75 inch thick LVL, like they all are. And I put a piece of angle, welded it to this C-channel right here, and that's what that sits in. So you got the angle back there that's screwed to the wall, and you've got the piece of angle up here that this LED track light or LED light strip is glued to, and it's welded to this C-channel, which kind of gives it some support. And to take out any sag in the middle, I welded this piece of angle up to that I-beam. And it makes a very, very sturdy shelf that I can throw anything at. And it's pretty low profile. So you got my planer, my miter saws, extra air compressors that I don't use, and it just happens to catch just things that I don't want on the ground or anywhere near the floor. And I'm 5'8", and I can reach up and grab most things without a ladder. A little bit of chain storage here. I got my bench vise, pretty heavy duty. I got it on the end of this bench, and it just bolts right down through this. Again, 1.75 inch thick, so it makes a great surface to mount this bench vise on. Over here in this area, I built this loft out of some 2x8s and 2x10s and made it kind of a catch area for the extra metal that I have on hand, some LVLs that I have on hand. Made a little workbench with some more LVLs, right? Another little bench vise over there. And this is kind of the yard storage area. As you can see, we got the mower, got my extra backup generator, some extra fuel cans, blower, weed eater, chainsaw, some extra cords. And then up top there, that's what allows me to store all the extra fun stuff that I don't need all the time, coolers, things like that. Over here, I have some buckets full of scrap metal. Got my welding apron, my hoods, or excuse me, yeah, my helmets there. And then this is a tool cabinet that I purchased and made it a cart. As you can see here, I welded angle on it. Put this piece of flat stock on the top, flat stock on the bottom, and I can move this around anywhere I need it in the shop. It's got my cheapo Win drill press. Actually, this has been a really good drill press. I bought this thing on Amazon like 7 years ago. Still works fine. I've had no problems with it. And I keep my sanders and Dremel tools and staplers and all that kind of fun stuff in there. We got the welding table. I built this maybe 5 or 6 years ago, 6 years ago too, 5 years ago. And put these drawers in it. And they get a little rusty out here because this is not very climate controlled, especially in Florida. But got your metal cutting saw. Just all the extra accessories I use for the welder. Got the old Buzz box here, works great. Got my power MIG welder here. And these are, you can plug in your socket, or excuse me, I got a cord that can plug into these so you can power up the bench. And I put these little Reese hitch style square tubing in here for the option if I ever decided that I wanted to mount something into the welding table temporarily, like a bench vise or something. I had the option to do it. And this is 1/4 inch thick top. So it's a great workstation. I have it on casters, but they are a little weak sauce because this bench is heavy. And as you can see right now, I've got this dude propped up on some 2x4s, and those are the casters right there that are gonna replace it. These have 1,000-pound rating each. And I think these poor guys only have like a 200, maybe 300-pound rating each. Anyway, moving on. This is the area that I tongue and groove this entire wall right here. Put my TV up. Made this my DeWalt tool center. My smaller Husky toolbox and my taller Husky toolbox. And I think what I'd like to do here is eventually combine these into one long toolbox that's the same height and width or depth, and make this an entire bench area with the toolbox, and get rid of this, move my job site box outside, take this topside creeper, maybe hang it up somewhere. There's some more LVLs ready to go for shelving. That's the window that goes back into my office. And there's that. Got the old handy dandy 250 GXT welder generator on the dolly. And then back here, I got my door that goes out to the neighbor's yard, which is actually our family. The wife's cousin lives there. And this is where the air compressor resides, which right now I don't have it piped out in the shop. That will be one of the to-dos on my to-do list. I got the old Kubota 3710 over here. Great tractor, some extra storage. We'll talk about that last. Actually, we can leave that open. Okay, this is the wall. I keep everything semi-organized as far as yard tools go. Everything's got a place. Air hoses, yard tools. I keep a little extra fuel storage up there. Some propane tanks. My floor jack, a little extra metal, scrap metal that I have left over from a project. And I got my ladders hung up. So you got a couple 6-foot A-frame ladders, my 2 multi-function ladders, a little small step ladder there. The I-beams I put in, actually with my dad and my grandfather helped me put these in, because there used to be a pole that supported the ridge beam up here. This all used to be dirt. We poured this entire thing to have a nice work surface to work on, and got rid of the posts that were going up to that ridge beam to tie it together, and came across 24-foot span with this 8-inch wide I-beam. I think it's 8-inch tall, 8-inch wide, pretty heavy duty. Got it up on some 5x5, 5/16 thick columns with a little bit of bracing there, and they come down the inside of the wall, and I got it bolted down to footers that has got covered up with these plywood wall right now. And my hope one day is to span another piece of I-beam across on a dolly system, and then have a hoist. And then when I can back my truck up in here, like for say I want to get this in the back of the truck, don't want to use the tractor, I can just hoist this dude up, back my truck up into the shop, lower that dude right into the back of the truck. And then as you can see up here, that just happens to be a place for all the goods. Extra stuff that gets left over from job sites, a lot of little miscellaneous scrap metal and wood. And then this is a door that I fabricated. This door right here, this spot of the shop, I kind of went back and forth on what to do with this particular spot. I went back and forth with maybe putting a normal garage door in here. Didn't like that idea. And then I finally dawned on me that I have this nice big post that's buried down into the ground like 5 feet, that I could screw on a piece of heavy duty or heavy gauge angle and weld hinges to that, and then just start to build out this door. The reason why I stopped with the bracing on this sheet, and this is like a 4x8 sheet, and then I overlapped the other sheet on the backside there. I'll show you here in a minute. And then latched it up top, latched it on the bottom, a little chain for reinforcement. I was thinking about putting a small little door here where I wouldn't have to open the big door to go in and out, but I decided I kind of like it the way it is. And I didn't want to make it heavier than it needed to be. So there we go. And there it is. I'm trying to get to where the sun doesn't get right in your face. But there's the hinges that I welded up. and then screwed this piece of big heavy gauge angle. These are big timber locks that go into that post that's buried nice and deep. It's embedded in concrete and buried nice and deep into the ground, so it can handle this door no problem. And it's just went along and tack welded it together. Didn't have to get crazy with it, but it works great. And that's where the tractor stays. I can push it back against the fence. It's got a little chain. I can hook it to the fence. If the wind's blowing, I just push that piece of angle up against it. Right on. And out here, my goal is to build a overhang or maybe close this entire thing in, because our pressure tank for our well, which our well's way over there, this is our pressure tank. This is the feed for our power. My dog loves catching lizards. So we have a 50 amp service and an 80 amp service on the inside for the entire workshop area. Got some extra diesel tank storage there, or diesel tank for diesel storage. Got my sod that is looking pretty miserable, and I use this as this is actually easement over here, and this is my property right over here. All this out here is my property, and I'll use this and eventually, like I said, maybe close this in where I'm standing, make this kind of another storage shed area, and then concrete this out to the gate. And then just not sure how I want to finish this off. Maybe with an overhang, maybe close it in. We'll see. Got the same little thing here. Built this little door, and this is fabricated this door. Same concept as that one. Same concept as this big one here. I'll show you what it looks like from the outside. We don't have to open it. It's really slick. There's no way to open it from the outside. Same way with the other door. Only from the inside. So it has a nice little bit more secure that way. And it's really sleek up against the black, as you can see. And we're not going to paint it. We're just going to let it rust over. So I like that look. Behind me is my 1963 CJ5 that I rebuilt. This was my grandfather's, and him and I used to use this to go hunting way back in the day here in Central Florida. It sat in his garage for, I'd say, the better part of 23, 24 years. Collected dust, was used for storage. Whole front end was kind of tore out because that's the last thing that had happened to it. And I think he just got frustrated with constantly trying to fix it and repair it. Eventually, 2018, I think he let me know, hey, I'm gonna get rid of it or junk it. If you're interested, come pick it up. I was living in Texas at the time. So when I came home for a visit, I made sure I got over there and loaded it up. And I'm gonna make a whole nother video on how and what I went through to repair and rebuild it. It took me a couple years to get it back into the state that you're seeing right now. And it's awesome. It's registered and insured, so I can drive it on the road. It makes one great vehicle to get around in, especially in the muddy, sandy areas of Florida and South Georgia. Okay, that's my workshop. Just a quick tour, just how I laid it out, how I like to set things up. Maybe if you have a similar setup or a space that's a little bit bigger than your standard garage, that maybe something like out here, then maybe something in here can help inspire you to, I don't know, design it, lay it out. I'm pretty particular about how I like things laid out, meaning there's a space for everything. And I certainly don't like things on the floor. I like to get things off the floor and out of my way because I like to be able to wheel around. As you can see, I'm doing right now on my workbench or my little stool here. Yeah, I like to be able to wheel around and get up underneath my vehicles when I pull them in here to work on them, or when I need this space just to construct or weld or whatever, right? So anyway, if you made it this far into the video, I'd be awesome if you'd hit the like and subscribe, however you want to do it. Just be a real big help with my channel, trying to grow. Also, I'm going to expand on some of the things that I've done in here as far as the ideas, is organizing, things like that. So as the shop evolves, I'll roll out some more videos on what I'm up to in here, as well as, like I said, the Jeep. I want to do a whole nother separate video on just what the processes I went through to repair the Jeep and rebuild the Jeep, and then do some videos on some of the other projects that I have going on around the property right now. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'm Nick. See you on the next video.